When healing begins, it rarely starts with strength. It begins where strength ends and when you finally surrender the battles you were never meant to fight alone. That truth sat quietly in the back of Grace's soul for years, but she never truly understood it until the day her world fell apart. Grace had always been the fighter in her family, the one who fixed things, solved problems, carried everyone else's burdens with a smile even when her own heart shook beneath the weight. She prided herself on being strong, on never breaking, on always moving forward no matter how tired she felt. But strength without surrender slowly turns into a cage, and she had been living in one for far too long. It started with small cracks. The mornings when she woke up feeling heavy without knowing why. The evenings when she sat staring at the ceiling, unable to stop her thoughts from racing. The quiet moments when tears would form for no apparent reason. Life was loud around her. Work deadlines, family expectations, constant noise. But silence echoed inside her. A silence that felt like exhaustion and loneliness mixed into one. Then came the night everything collapsed. She was sitting at the kitchen table, papers scattered around her, bills, work notes, a planner filled with tasks she could barely focus on. Her phone buzzed with messages she didn't have the energy to answer. The air felt thick, her chest tight, her breath shallow. A dull ache throbbed behind her eyes. She pressed her hands against her face, trying to push the pressure away, but it only grew heavier. "God," she whispered, voice cracking. "I'm so tired. I don't know how to keep going like this." There was no sudden revelation, no angelic choir. Just the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the sound of her heartbeat pounding too fast. She felt herself unravel, thread by thread. The tears came, not softly but in waves. Years of silent pain crashing through her all at once. Pain she had pushed down, wounds she had ignored, disappointments she had buried under forced smiles and busy schedules. She sobbed until her chest ached, until her arms shook, until she could barely breathe. "I don't know what to do anymore," she cried. "I can't fix this. I can't fix me." And for the first time, she didn't try to stand up. She didn't try to fight it. She just sat there broken, tired, undone. It was terrifying but strangely freeing. Like she was sinking, yet somehow being held at the same time. Her phone vibrated again, but she ignored it. Instead, she looked at the small Bible sitting near the corner of the table. Dusty, untouched for months. Slowly, as if drawn by something deeper than her own will, she reached for it. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The pages fell naturally to a verse she had once circled long ago. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." She stared at the words until they blurred through her tears. Rest. It felt like a promise she had forgotten was even hers to receive. "God," she whispered again, softer this time, "I surrender. I can't carry this anymore." The confession did not feel weak. It felt like release, like water pouring out of a vessel that had been filled too long. She laid her head on her arms and let silence wrap around her. Not the heavy silence of emptiness she had been living with, but a stillness that felt holy, gentle, safe. That night, she didn't pray fancy words. She didn't recite memorized phrases. She simply whispered over and over, "I surrender. Help me," and something shifted. Not outside, nothing in her circumstances changed, but inside a space opened. A space where peace could breathe again. The next morning she woke up before her alarm. Her eyes were swollen, her head ached, but her heart felt different. Tender, quiet, fragile, but hopeful. She brewed coffee, and instead of rushing into responsibilities, she sat in silence, Bible in hand, breathing slowly. She didn't feel fully healed, but she felt seen. In the days that followed, surrender wasn't a one-time decision. It was a daily laying down, one of pride, of fear, of control. Sometimes she prayed boldly. Other times she cried wordless prayers that felt like rain on thirsty soil. Healing wasn't fast. It wasn't glamorous. It was messy, slow, uncomfortable. Some days she felt peace. Other days she felt the same ache rise again, asking to be surrendered once more. She started journaling, not to be poetic, but to be honest. Her prayers sounded like raw conversations. "God, I don't know how to give you this, but I'm trying. Why does surrender feel scary? Teach me to trust you more than my fear. Hold me today. I feel fragile." One afternoon when panic started to rise again, she didn't fight it with force like she always used to. Instead, she closed her eyes and whispered, "Lord, I give this to you. I'm not fighting this alone." and gradually the anxiety loosened its grip. Healing showed up in small victories. One morning she looked in the mirror and didn't see someone barely surviving. She saw someone becoming. Someone learning how to breathe again. Someone God was gently restoring from the inside out. She smiled, not a wide smile, but a real one. Weeks passed. She met with a friend for coffee and, instead of pretending to be okay, she spoke honestly about her journey. To her surprise, her friend's eyes filled with tears. "I've been struggling too," she admitted. And in that exchange, two hearts unmasked. Healing deepened for them both. Healing wasn't just for her. It flowed through her. She began spending quiet evenings walking outside, noticing the wind, the rustling trees, the softness of sunsets she once rushed past. Each moment felt like God whispering, "I am here. I never left." One night she sat by her window watching gentle rain fall. She breathed deeply, feeling peace settle softly over her like a blanket. Her heart still carried scars, but they no longer ached the same way. They had become proof of God's faithfulness, not reminders of her failure. She whispered into the quiet, "Thank you for not letting me fall apart alone. Thank you for catching me when I surrendered." And in that stillness she understood something sacred. Healing does not come when we prove we are strong. Healing comes when we finally admit we can't be strong alone. Healing begins where surrender begins. Grace didn't become someone who never struggled again. She became someone who didn't carry her struggles alone. She learned that surrender isn't giving up, and it is giving over. It is trusting that the God who holds the universe can also hold your heart without letting it break. Months later, as she prayed one morning, her chest no longer felt like a battlefield. Her heart felt steady, open, held. She whispered, "I'm yours, not because I'm strong, but because you are." And she knew, even if storms came again, she would not face them the same way. She would lay them down before they crushed her. She would kneel before she broke. She would choose surrender over self-sufficiency, because she had learned the miracle hidden in surrender. God does his deepest healing in the places we finally stop trying to heal ourselves. And that was the beginning of a life truly lived in peace. Not because she controlled everything, but because she finally let God, because healing begins when you surrender to him, and surrender is where freedom lives.